Hello friends, today we are in conversation with Goonmeet Singh Chauhan, an architect by profession and an author by choice. Goonmeet did his architecture from IIT Kharagpur and runs an architecture firm called Design Firm International. Well, if some of you have been to Delhi and happen to be a shopping enthusiast, chances are that you would have shopped at one of the most popular malls designed by him, which is the Select City Walk Mall at Saket. Or if you are fond of traveling and have had the chance to go to the beautiful city of Guwahati, then you would have most probably boarded the flight from the new terminal of Guwahati International Airport, which was also designed by him. Or for that matter, if you've been to the holy city of Amritsar, then chances are you will visit another one of his landmark sites, which is the Amritsar railway station, which will come up very soon. So tell me, Gunmeet, from designing such landmark buildings to writing a book called Invertonomics, 8 Ideas to Transform India, what prompted you to do so?
I think there was an inner calling to contribute to the nation building effort. Most of our projects now, whether it is the Amritsar railway station or the new airports that we are building or the new port complexes or Vanijya Bhavan, the new ministry we are doing, they're all about nation building. And I felt, how about expanding the scope beyond just designing buildings? And here is a book that addresses city level issues like air pollution and social issues like women empowerment. So this is my contribution to the nation after, say, 25 years of working as a professional. I thought it's time to start the new innings.
Okay, that's quite interesting, Gurmeet. In this book, you actually talk about some of the top issues, by the way, which face our country, right? Like pollution, cities being unsafe in general, poor, traffic compliance, poor garbage management, issue of not having enough and more toilets, and even in places where we have toilets, they are not maintained. And some more interesting stuff like how do we have a honk-free India, right? There's so much of problem. Well, I'm
Yes.
sure a lot of our viewers would be interested in how you advocate solving these issues, which frankly have not been solved, right? Despite the best of the government efforts. I mean, we have scheme like Swachh Bharat Mission, where government has spent 70,000 crores plus already, and yet we know we are still far off from a clean India. So, so much money has been spent on building toilets, but there is no water and they're poorly maintained. So net, my sense is that the problem is the implementation, right? Where we've not been able to solve this. Now, I know you don't want to give away a lot of stuff that is there in the book, but we are just very interested to know what is the thought process behind solving these issues.
So fundamentally, where the book distinguishes itself is that it is a new methodology for solving problems. We are inverting problems into economic opportunities. Take Swachh Bharat as an example. I think a lot has been accomplished. Yes, much more needs to be done. Our assessment is that we need 14 lakh crores to actually fulfill right to clean sanitation across the country. Therefore, while 70,000 is a large sum of money, it is far less than what is needed. So we have proposed a business model around toilets. So the whole book is about inverting problems into economic opportunities, and they're simple opportunities which even a class 10 student can understand. By doing that, making public toilets will suddenly become a profitable venture. Also, we are looking at not just capital outlay for construction of public toilets, but also the maintenance is wired into the ecosystem. And this new concept, where we take a ecosystem based approach, where we invert problems into opportunities, where we create a bhagidari of citizens, government, and a private enterprise, where we measure the success of every measure, and we create an ecosystem where all stakeholders get connected through money. That ensures that individual citizens begin to act in collective good. And the moment individual citizens begin to act in collective good, the moment government functions as an enabler private enterprise, because it is profiting, maintains that ecosystem, the whole thing begins to thrive. And it sets in motion a positive spiral of change. And that is what this book is about. The promise is that all the chronic problems that we've so far not been able to solve, like pollution, education, women empowerment, traffic compliance, making our cities safe, managing our garbage better, improving farmer income, all these problems can now be solved with certainty in our lifetimes. And the tagline is, so far we've been cutting butter with a chainsaw. All we need is a butter knife. Invertonomics is that butter knife.
Ah, that's quite interesting, Gunmeet, and I guess a very different way of looking at these problems, right? It's heartening to see that there are Indians like you who, despite being so successful in their professional careers, are thinking about the country and wanting to give back to the country in whatever way they can. I mean, wish you all the best in this quest, and we at Good for India hope that we get more such eminent personalities like yourself doing whatever they can to do good for India, right? By the way, tell me something, Gunmeet. Just on a side note, what does good for India mean for you?
So I think good for India, or for that matter, good for any nation in today's context, only mean three things. I think these are three things which every government today is trying to address. Number one, creating an inclusive society. Whether it is the West or our own country, there is a lot of divisiveness. And it's not just recent. I mean, if you look at our country, yes, there is unity in diversity, but there are underlying currents, north, south, the caste system, the religious divide. I think the foremost thing that is important for any nation is inclusivity. The second thing, which is very, very important for a nation, is an environment that is able to address inequities in our society. Whether that is an economic inequity, whether it is a social inequity, or whether it is a gender inequity. All our initiatives have to address inequities and reduce the inequities. The third thing, which is a very, very big challenge, is sustainable living. So, even the economy, when people say that if you need growth, you can't be sustainable, it is lack of clarity, lack of ideation. And this book comes in and shows a way. And we need to create in India that can show the way to the world to be an inclusive nation that addresses inequities in a pragmatic, powerful manner, and that chooses to create a sustainable economy and upskills its people to actually become more sustainable in terms of the job opportunities and the clean environment economy that we create. So, to me, good for India is summarized in three words: inclusive, combating inequity, sustainable.
That's quite interesting, Gurmeet, and thank you so much for your thoughts. Is there anything small that comes to your mind, let's say, that we can do in our everyday life to do good for India? Any thought, any idea that comes to your mind?
I think it is the time for inspired citizenship, where individual citizens really understand that citizenship is not the same as denizenship. You're not a resident, and therefore you have rights, and if you pay taxes, that's the end of it. I think collective action needs to be taken. And let's take a small example. We negotiate with the vegetable vendor. Well, it's okay to negotiate. However, for a moment, see how we can look at inequity and address it as an individual. Negotiate all that you want with him. But once you've negotiated with him, give him 20 rupees, give him 10 rupees or 30 rupees, whatever you can afford. Give him some money. You know, that
That's interesting.
that sends a very powerful message that you care for him, for his profit and his family. The second thing that I want to do is sustainability. every citizen is in some way harming the environment, whether by use of car or not using renewable energy. Do one thing in a week for the environment. Segregate garbage, plant a tree, choose to walk rather than take a car. Do one. And the third thing, as far as inclusion is concerned, give to somebody outside your community, outside your circle. ये नहीं कि पैसा देना है तो अपनों को दें, नहीं. इंक्लूजन तब होगी जब जिनको हम गैर मानते हैं उनको केवल व्हाट्सएप विश कर देना कि जी जन्माष्टमी मुबारक, ईद मुबारक, ये बड़ी ऊपर ऊपर की बात है. डोनेट मनी, डोनेट और volunteer time for somebody outside your community. The moment each citizen does a little bit of these three, we'll see the level of citizenship rising in our nation. And that is
That's quite interesting, Gurmeet, and thank you so much for your thought. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.